So today we'll discuss regarding introduction to C programming. So how you're supposed to write the C program and what are the constraints you're supposed to follow to write the C program and these all things. So in previous class, which we discussed regarding what are the types of data we are using in computer programming and how you're supposed to write the expressions. So what are the types of expressions which we are having like prefix, infix, postfix. So what are the types of data which we are having means integer type of data, okay, means numeric type of data, floating type of data. And these all things which we discussed in previous classes. And what we discussed in previous classes, these are the general terms, means which is not at all related to either C programming or some other. So every programming language is having such types of things. So when it comes to C programming here, so every C programming will start with the line called header file. So when you observe any programming, it may contain the statement like hash include some stdio.h, like that we're having. So that is the first step which we supposed to write the C program. So including header files, including header files. So what is meant by header file? Can anyone say? You can unmute and you can give information. Or else in chat window also you can mention. What is meant by header file? If you don't know, then you can mention it. We don't know in chat box. Okay. So I think no one knows regarding this one. Okay, that's good. So header file is nothing but it is one type of special file. So when you people are writing something, for example, in a Word document, so if you're typing something, then it will be saved with .doc. So in C programming, so in C programming, so if you're writing in programming, then it will be extension with .c. Like that, we have some files with extension .h. So header file is having a collection of functions. A collection of functions. So this header file is also having some logic, and which is having the collection of functions, means it is having subprograms. It is having subprograms. I will show one example to you. So for example, I want to know what is available on stdio.h. So it is saying that it is a library. So it is a library. So stdio.h is a library. Okay. So library in the sense it is having some collection of things and so when it comes to header file means stdio.h, it is having some built-in variables and it is having some macros and it is having some functions also. When you observe stdio.h, it is having the variables like size underscore t, file, fpos underscore t. These are the variables which are available and which is defined in the stdio.h header file. Similarly, it is having some macros also. What is macro and everything we'll discuss later, like null, so underscore iofbr, so buff size, eof, f open underscore max, file name underscore max. So these are all the macros. Similarly, it is having collection of functions like f close, okay, sorry, clear error, FUOF, FPRESS. Similarly, you can get the printf scanf also, where we have. So fprintf is there, fprintf is there, printf is there. So sprintf is there, vfprintf is there. So similarly, we are having fscanf, scanf. So it is nothing but a collection of methods, we can say. The library is nothing but a collection of methods, we can say. Okay. So here in C programming, the library which is called as a header file. So here they mentioned that stdio.h is header file, defines the 3 variable types, several macros, and various functions. And we can't say that every header file is having library, every header file is having variables, methods, macros, these all things. So some header files is having these things, some header files is having only methods. That's why I said that header file is a collection of functions, or else method. So method or function, these are the alias names. I can say that it is a function or else method also. So header file is nothing but a collection of methods or functions. So why we required these including header files? Why? Because C programming is a function oriented programming language. It is a function oriented programming language. So when we writing the program, when we people are writing the program, so we require some functions. For example, already you people are having some knowledge on C programming. So we are using the functions like printf, like scanf, these all things. So these are the functions. These are the functions. If you supposed to use these functions, then the compiler required the logic related to these functions. Means some code is there. Some code is there for printf, scanf. So if I say printf to compiler, it doesn't understand. It is not a reserved word. It is not a reserved word. It is a function. So in that situation, it required logic related to printf. But we people are just using printf and we don't know the logic behind the printf. So what is the logic it is having, we don't know. And that logic is available on stdio.h. The program which is related to printf is available on stdio.h. So when I call the printf method, then compiler is searching the logic related to printf in the header files which you included. You may include n number of header files. So not only stdio.h, you may go with conio.h, you may go with dos.h. Like that, we're having nearly some 256 header files we have. Okay, I think some 260, I think so. So you can use any header file. So when you're defining or when you're using any function in your C program, so compiler is searching the logic for that one. Searching the logic for that one. Initially, it is going to search the logic in that program only. Wherever the program you wrote, so there only it is going to search. So means it doesn't know whether the printf is a built-in function or user-defined function. Compiler doesn't know whether is it printf is a built-in or user-defined. Initially, it will search the logic in your program itself. If it doesn't find, then it is going to search in each and every of header file. Assume it if I'm having some stdio.h and conio.h is also there. Assume it I included these two things. So if it is the first statement is conio, then it search regarding printf in conio.h. If we didn't find anything, then it is going to search in stdio.h. If it is find the logic, then it is okay. Otherwise, it is going to generate an error. It is going to generate an error. So that is the use of header file. So first you people should know what is meant by header file. So simply we can say that it is a library and it is a collection of methods or else functions. So someone may raise that the question, is it limited to methods only? So you can say that it is having some constant variables also. It is having some constant variables also. So when it comes to the std word h, we have some constant variable like size underscore t. So these all things are there. File is there, FPOS is there, and it may having some libraries or some header files is having macros also. We can say that means this is a extension version of definition. If they ask simple what do you mean by header file, I can say that it is a collection of methods. So if he wants to extension of that answer, then I can say that it is having the collection of methods, macros, and some constant variables also. Okay. So that's the general definition of header file. So why you need to include header files in the sense each and every file is having the logics related to that particular functions. For example, in stdio.h, I'm having the functions nearly library functions 41 functions are there. Okay, for these 41 functions, I can find the logic in stdio.h header file. So I will show stdio.h file. Okay. So we have somewhere. So just to go through on that one, this is the logic which it's having. Still more is there. Still is there, but I didn't mention detailed header file. So just a minute. We don't have proper file, but actually in source code means if you have uh, C programming software, there you can find it. There you can open it. Okay. So here somewhat logic is there. So fprintf for this one, what we are using, and everything we can find here. So here we have some logic for dprintf, fprintf, just printf. Okay. So we may get the information related to these all things. Okay. Somewhat low level programming they are going to write for these things. Okay. So these are all the things which you can get it in header file, but we don't know, we don't bother. Yeah. So, but we don't need to bother regarding these things. Why? Because we don't discuss regarding these things. Just you should know. So, what are the functions is available on that particular header files? That is the extension work. So, but no one will use all the functions. So, when I saw that, say, stdio.h is having nearly 41 functions, but whatever you require, you can use it based on your situation. And sometimes you may know that where it is located. Sometimes you don't know where it is located. Then you need to Google it, or else if you are using Turbo C, there you can find the header file related to that particular function. And if you want to all the header files also, there you can find it. Okay. So I will show in later classes, I will show it. Okay. So this is about header file landing. Okay. So header file is nothing but collection of functions. And whenever the functions you used, so you're supposed to include that particular header file. That is the first one. And next step is defining macros. next step is defining macros. So first one is you're supposed to include the header files. With the help of hash include, you can include it. Next one is defining macros. So what is one macro? Macro is nothing but a coding. Macro is nothing but the coding, the logic. So simply I can say that subprogram also I can say. It is also like a function. Macro is also like a function which we can defining using hash define. Using hash define. Hash define macro name. For example, I can say that pi, then the value of macro, for example, 3.142. So in some programs, you can define, sorry, you can find the statements like this. Hash define some pi 3.142. Here, this is the value of macro and this is the macro name. And to define the macro, I'm using the statement called hash define. Okay, this is the next statement. And it is an optional, means you no need to use that one. If you require, you can use it, otherwise leave it. And here, not only the values, you can write some simple statements also. Any calculations or anything is there, you can define it. Okay. And the macro may take the parameters also. Not only a single variable, it may have the parameters also. Means it will work like a function. The macro, in some situations, it will work like a function. Then what is the difference between these two things? What is the difference between macro and function? That will be the another question. So I don't want to go through on this one, but just I will show the difference. What is the thing? So assume it. I will go with an example of macro. So here, okay, this fellow is also defining a small thing. Here we can find this. So assume it, I'm going to find the area of something of rectangle. So what he did is a hash defined area of L comma B, so L into B. So means it is works like a function. So what he did is hash define area. The parameters are L comma B and the logic is L into B. So here the area which will work like a function. So someone wants to take the area, I can say that A equal to area of some 4,9. This is length and this is breadth. So means it will work like a function. It will work like a function. Similarly, you can define the function. So for example, int some A, I'm going to make it L comma B, means int L comma into B. So simply I'm saying return L into B. Means same logic I'm writing in function, same logic I'm writing in macro. Okay, so logic is same, but here it is a macro, here it is a function. So why don't we go with macros for everyone? Means it is having some limitation in the single line only. Macros will work with a single line. Function will go with multiple lines. Okay. Okay. So now the situation is, what is the difference between these two things? What is the difference between macro and function? So if in your program, if you're using macros instead of function, it will reduce the execution time of a program. Means assume it, the program which is used to find out the area of the rectangle, if I implemented using functions, assume it may take 1 nanosecond. Assume it will taking 1 nanosecond. But if you same program, same area of the rectangle, if you implemented using macros, there is a chance to take 0.5 nanoseconds. Why? Logic is same. Here also I am having L into B. Here also I am using L into B. And here also I am using L into B. The logic is same. Then why it is taking more time? Why it is the macro is taking less time? The thing is, when you people are working with function, so assume it when I'm writing the program, so the program is located in some particular memory location. Okay, so the program is available in this memory location. Means whatever the statements and everything will be here only. If you wrote the function, then it is going to take separate block for that particular function. Okay, so in this block, I'm having my main program. In this block, I'm having the function. Assume it, I'm using the function of area to find out area of the rectangle. So assume it here, I'm having the statements area of some 4,9. Here I am having that statement. So when I call this function, then the controller is moving to from here to here. The controller is moving from this block to this block. For transferring the control from here to here means some other block, it will take some time. It will take some time. So this is the wastage of time. Assume it, if you define the macro, instead of function, if you define the macro, then the logic related to macro is available in this program only. The logic related to macro is available in this program only. So means in this block only, I'm having the logic related to macro. So in that situation, the execution time will reduce. Why? Because I no need to transfer the controller from here to here. Simply just I'm moving controller up and I'm calculating it, then placing. Means the logic will be replaced here. Means even sorry, the controller will not move there. The logic only will be replaced. Means so if it is a macro, this will be replaced with L into B. L will become 4 and B become 9. So if I'm using function, I am transferring the control from here to here. Means from this block to this block. If I'm using the macro, in that situation, the logic which is related to macro will be replaced here. Then simply I can get the value. So here the transmission time will reduce, then automatically your program will execute fastly. So this is the usage of macro. So simply you can say that, so if you are using a particular logic for macro and function, if they ask which is going to execute fastly, means give the word to macro only. Why? Because if they ask for extension, then I can say that, so the logic which is related to macro will be replaced here, So the function area which I'm calling, that will be replaced with the main logic. But if it is a function, then you need to transfer the controller. For that transferring only, it will take the time. Okay, so that is the next one. So macro only, but sometimes it will be replaceable for function. But if the function is means if your logic is more than one line, then you compulsorily proceed with function only. We can't go with macros. For simple statements only, you go with macro. So it is not possible to define every logic which is applicable in function to as a macro. So if it is a single line statement, small statement, then we can go with macros. That is the second one, defining the macro. And next one is global variables. Next one is global variables. So variable is nothing but, I can say that it is name of the memory location. Here we can find two types of variables: local variable, another one is called global variable. We can find local and global. So simply I am saying that variable is the name of the location which is available, which is capable to store the values. Okay, which is capable to store the values. But here I am saying that local, global. What is meant by local and what is meant by global? And when you're supposed to use, when you can differentiate it. So if the variable lifetime, if you want the variable lifetime in an entire program, then you can use global. Okay, means when you people are writing C program, it may having some number of functions at it, some F1, F2, like that. You may having some number of functions. Then finally, you may have main function. Okay, so I supposed to use one variable which should be work in F1, F2, F3 and main also. I need to use one variable. You should work in F1, F2, F3 main also. Then make it as a global. Make it as a global. Local variable. Local variable means the lifetime of the variable is within the function. If I declare the variable in main function, it will work in this function only. If I apply the variable in F1, it will work in F1 only. If I define the variable in F2, it will work in F2 only. If I define the variable in F3, it will work in F3 only. Means the lifetime of the local variable is within the block. It will be within the block. The lifetime of the global variable is entire program. Means the program may having more than one block. The program may having more than one block. So in entire block, in entire program, wherever you want, you can use it. That is the functionality of global variable. And the local in the sense within a function only, means within a block only it will work. Okay, it is your decision so to use either global or local. So based on your research. So this is also optional. Global variables also optional. If you want, you can use it. Otherwise, you can leave it. Okay. So that is next block. And next one is main. Next one is main. It is a method. Main is a method. Or else we call it as a function. And here function in C program, function is having one return type. Function is having one return type. So function is having one return type. So this return type, when it comes to main, by default, the return type is int. And one more thing you should keep in mind that in C programming, if the function doesn't have any return type, then by default it will take int only. So when you observe some programs, so sometimes the return type will be int for main function, and sometimes it may be defined void also. Okay, so that we don't require. So maximum we can use void only. Why? Because the main function is not going to return any value. That's why I'm using void. Already in previous classes at the time of discussing data type, we discussed regarding void. Void is nothing but nothing. So if the function doesn't return any value to caller, then I can define nothing, void. And then in the main function, I'm going to define the logic. So in main function in a block, the first line should be variable declaration, that is local variable. So if you want to define any variable in a block, the first line should be variable declaration. Then only you're supposed to start the logic. Then only you're supposed to start the logic. So that you should keep in mind. So when you're writing any function or else when you're starting any block, in that block, if you required any variables, that should be the first line. Then only you can go with last. So this is about structure of C programming.